Hi, I'm Mary Kopczynski, the CEO of RegAlytics in the outskirts of Missoula, Montana, en route to a family wedding on Saturday. So, yes, it's time. There were 25,252 regulatory alerts this week, but this is the episode where I'm going to walk through my take on the one big beautiful bill that was signed into law on the 4th of July. No, I did not use ChatGPT or Microsoft Copilot or even our own RegPass chatbot. I reviewed all 870 pages with my own JD PhD eyes. And yes, the bill has been extensively covered by the media, but I'm going to cover what I don't think has been clearly covered by the media. I have also emotionally accepted that there is so much going on in this bill that I'm going to have to release snippets about it over the coming weeks. And before I do this, please be 100% clear, I am not an accountant, and yes, I do have a law degree, and yes, I passed the New York bar, but I retired immediately, and I do not practice law. That said, these are my layperson observations about some interesting opportunities. So please see a real accountant or lawyer if you want to do any of this stuff. So first, Section 70401, Enhancement of Employer-Provided Child Care Credit. So when your company provides child care for you, they get a 25% tax credit for whatever they spend. Under the One Big Beautiful Bill, they now get 40% covered. It's not a game changer, but it's enough to make me think, wait a minute, could I offer child care as a perk for my employees and get some of it back in taxes? Yeah, I could give my employee raises, which cost me money, or I could give them a child care credit, which essentially forces the employee to spend the money on child care, but now I get some of my money back from the government. But even more, the cap is increased. So the cap for this used to be $150,000 a year. So rather than giving out $150,000 a year in bonuses, I could spend $150,000 on child care for my employees and get 25% of it back. But under the One Big Beautiful Bill, I can spend $600,000 on child care rather than bonuses and get 40% of that back. See how this works? And finally, that now includes third parties. So I don't need to run the daycare myself, but I could strike a deal with, let's say, Bright Horizons or some other large nationwide provider, keeping in mind that I might also get a referral fee from that relationship. And here's the real kicker. There's a carve-out for jointly owned child care facilities. So nothing stops me from creating my own RegAlytics child daycare, making money on that, and also getting the tax credit. So I pay you, instead of a bonus, money to spend on my daycare in the office. So I basically take your money, give it to me, pocket the profits, and then also get the tax credit. I think it's going to be quite the incentive program for businesses in the U.S. to start assisting with childcare. Another one in here is really good for startup investors. So Section 70431, Expansion of Qualified Small Business Stock Gain Exclusion. So right now, if you invest in a startup and hold the stock for 5 years, you don't have to pay taxes on gains. I put in 10 grand, I sell it for $1 million, I pay no taxes on that. Well, now it's a tiered system. If you hold it for 3 years, you get 50% of the gains tax-free. Hold it for 4 years, and it's 75% tax-free. Then obviously 5 years, it's 100%. Okay, only 2 more, and you'll have to tune in next week for more. So Section 30001, the funding cap for the Bureau of Consumer Financial Protection. So when the CFPB was originally created, it was funded by the Federal Reserve intentionally to make it independent from Congress, a little bit more independent. However, Congress can set the percent of the Fed's budget that is used on the CFPB. It was up to 12%, and now it is capped at 6.5%, which means the budget of the CFPB is, for all intents and purposes, cut in half. And if a new Fed chairman takes over that hates the CFPB, that could go lower. And finally, Section 30003, Securities and Exchange Commission Reserve Fund. So the SEC Reserve Fund is used for whatever the SEC needs to carry out its enforcement job. Sometimes they invest it in detection technology or other basic operational expenses. Well, now the fund can only be used to pay out whistleblowers. That's it, nothing else. And because that's a big shift, there's an adjustment period on that, but the adjustment period is only to this October. And that's it this week for RegAlytics. We have the global supply chain with the world's regulatory alerts in one very easy to use place. If you need a solution for anything related to regulation, give us a call.